Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. We're here for your instant match reaction. Paul, I'm tired. It was like pulling teeth at times in the second half, but we got the job done. But I'm going to hand over straight over to you, and you can give us your thoughts on a 2-0 away win at Cardiff.
We won.
That's all that matters, right? That's all that matters.
It does, but my God, why do we make it so difficult for us? Not make it difficult. Here's the thing. For me, why we've got to stop persisting with this Ampadu and Piroe thing. We've got to. And it's a weird one because both of them actually played all right. But the issue that you've got is that disconnect all the time for the number 10. It's so obvious. Tanaka came on and within 20 seconds of him being on, he was being more progressive. And I'm just, if I'm Mayo Tanaka and I'm stood there at the 82nd minute getting subbed on, I'm thinking to myself, why have I come here?
Do we not think just to be fair to Farker, obviously you have to take into consideration game state when he's coming on. I was really impressed, don't get me wrong, but also we didn't see Piroe till January as well, Paul. So I think there's a case of Farker giving players time to adjust and minutes here and there. Do you think it's that? Because Piroe and Ampadu were fine today. You know what I mean? I know what you mean in terms of, all right, let's be crushing these, but I don't know what their XG was. I mean, it'll be tiny.
It's got to be absolutely tiny because they were even with 11 men on the pitch. Let's have it right. Yeah,
they were bad, weren't they?
They were horrible. But I mean, I was pleased with Ramzani in the first half. I thought he played very, very well. I thought he took his goal really, really well. I thought Piroe just does what Piroe does. That's him to a nutshell. He's just ice cold in front of the goal and he just scores. It's that simple. As soon as he got the ball, I thought, there's the 2-0 that we've been looking for. Don't know why strikes on penalties. I don't know if it's because he's good at them or
no.
What.
Yeah, he's great at them.
So I just get frustrated with. And it's weird because we've just won 2-0 away from home and you kind of sat here going, I don't quite grasp the concept of why it is the way that it is, but it's just certain people were getting on my nerves a little bit. Nonto, as good a game as...
I thought he was good today, yeah, he was really good.
As good a game as he had, some of his decision-making was a little bit... But... I mean, again, that's just me being uber critical of him because I've mentioned previously how I felt that he's probably been one of the poorer performers. You tend to watch him a little bit more. So on that basis, I thought Joseph was a bit okay, not brilliant in terms of his hold-up play. It took him a little while to get into the game. Our defence is brilliant. There's nothing you can say about the defence. We're not conceding goals. We look solid. We look, Struijk is an absolute beast of a defender. He's brilliant.
Quality today, wasn't he?
He's immense. Bogle was playing okay-ish. This was my big annoyance in the first half and the second half. The amount of times Bogle was free on the right-hand side and they did play the ball over to him. And you're just like, and the one time that they did, what happened? We got the penalty.
Yeah,
we
did. Yeah.
You could sit here, get really, really annoyed with everything, but at the end of the day, it's 3 points. We win. It's absolutely fine. We move on to the next one. Maybe it's purely just a case of more form over function at this moment in time to get the result, rather than it just being the function and the really, really nice stuff. So maybe just try and wind it in a little bit. That would be my thing.
Yeah, and I think as well, what we have to take into consideration as well is if we think about last season. I'm not trying to give an excuse, but Leeds United didn't get to a crescendo until after Christmas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was and look, this has been the best start Farker has had, even under his Norwich winning campaigns. But and listen, in terms of Strout taking the pen, I don't subscribe to this notion that centre backs shouldn't be taking pens, etc. Because Roberto Carlos was one of the best set piece takers in world football ever, and he was a left back. So I don't know if we should subscribe to that notion, but I think I was quite disappointed with the readiness, and this isn't a you, Paul, but just to the chat and the readiness with which to throw him in the bin because he's a centre back. And what does it say about it's BS. It doesn't matter where he plays. If he's the best penalty taker, he's the best penalty taker. But That's the first one he's missed. And guess what? It was shite.
Yeah,
it was shite. It doesn't matter where you play. It was a shit penalty.
And look, some of our quote-unquote fans, when the lineup was in, it's a good point that in Hart, when some of our quote-unquote fans on Twitter were giving it exactly the same thing, it was just we'd lost already. We'd lost the game when the lineup was made. We'd lost the game 20 minutes into the game because we hadn't taken 357 million shots at the team. X is a really interesting space to be when football matches are on, because if you want a dose of depression, and speaking of somebody that suffers from depression, just go and sit and read through X. Like I said, you can be annoyed at the performance, but we won. We now move on to the next one. I can complain about stuff. I don't care how the points come. If we get the points, we get the points. End of story.
Yeah, someone messaged me during the game, 1-0 winning 1-0 against 10 men. I think this is coming around to Fark out. I'm like, what the fuck are you going on about, man? But what more can you? I don't honestly. I received that message. It's mad. But hey ho, Joe, you were up next, mate. Looking very Bond villain-esque in your role.
Why villain? Pal. Why you gotta go villain?
Because good people don't wear Rolex. It's always a villain, isn't it? It's always a villain in a Bond film.
If I remember right, in the most recent Bond film, he literally wears a turtleneck.
Oh, is that what it's called? Well, okay, then. You're not James Bond. Over to you, James Bond. Talk to me about that.
Thank you. I honestly, we did what we needed to, and a lot of people will go into that match thinking, well, we need to hammer these 4 or 5-0, and then it'll come out and it'll be 2-0. But at the same time, look at the bigger picture. When you come out of a game of football, you have either no points, 1 point, or 3 points. This is fine. We got the result we needed. And if anyone is coming out of that saying, we need Daniel Farke out, that wasn't good enough, how many chances did we create that were just so easy? I remember the Ramazani one where the goalkeeper is diving at his feet. Just dink him, and that's fantastic. And at that point, we're 2-0 up in the first half. Everyone's buzzing. Fantastic. But instead, people are like, yeah, well, the number isn't quite big enough. So how about we just try and throw
Ampadu should score in the second half as well, shouldn't he, when it's crossed from Bogle? I think he should score there as well.
There's a similar Aronson one where Bogle's just all the way across about 2 yards out and he just doesn't get his foot to it. And I don't understand the number of people who are just like, no, we need to throw everything away, actually. When it's fine. Just be content. It's okay. You don't need to panic.
Yeah, exactly. Quick, some super chats. Lee says, what you saying, our boy Piroe? Yeah, listen, killer. We needed him in that moment when he goes. I mean, it was such a tight angle as well. It was a great finish. Graham says 4 clean sheets in 5 matches, another 3 points, and that point at West Brom doesn't look that bad now, does it? Yeah, I mean, that's a great shout. 4 clean sheets in 5 matches. Is that right? No, 4 in 6. 4 in 6. We conceded against Portsmouth and conceded against Burnley. But yeah, 4 clean sheets, 3 wins. Happy days. Abdullah Al-Fuzon says, no Piroe, no party. I know he's not a fan favorite, but find a place for him in that starting 11 and he'll score goals for fun. He doesn't fit the system, but 100% be crucial for promotion. I think he can have a part to play off the bench, though. That's 2 goals we've now seen him. When I guess he's not the player that you would turn to when you're trying to break down a low block, but when there's space in behind, like in the 2 games, the one against Wednesday and the one against today, he gobbles that up, doesn't he? And when he's through on goal, you just back him. And if he'd have played, he'd have taken the penalty. But of course, Strauch is our penalty taker. But Jack City, man, you've just joined us, brother. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, man. Yeah, just methodical. Just felt like it was just, like Cardiff brought notes at table. I think there's like a, because you're just sort of on about the expectancy again, weren't you? A bit just people moaning, but really, the other team have to come and play as well, don't they? It's like, and I don't mean just in an attacking sense, but the game was drab, wasn't it? They provided absolutely nothing to the game, so it was just up against us against them in theory. I understand people get a bit panicky and stuff, but like Burnley struggled today, didn't they, against Portsmouth? They 1-0 down for a long period of time, and but again, nobody's watching that game, so nobody cares about that game, which is fine. I'm not watching that game, and I don't care about that game. But watching that today, you can't really. If you're beaten by 5-0, I think also, and I'm going to try and follow on my point from losing last week, that's not necessarily a bad thing, providing you get a reaction. I think 5-0s don't do you any good a lot of the time. I think if you win 5-0, then you go, there's like a complacency sets in. So we've lost last week, we've come back, bounced back, done well, and we won 2-0. Convincing. They had one chance right at the end. I didn't even know what had happened there. What was that from kickoff or something? You know, when they went in.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either, but it's a good save by Melly.
I closed my eyes, but it was just in on goal. I didn't know what I'd. But yeah, and like, you know, a couple of chances in first half. I thought Ramazzini, however you say his name, he should have probably got another. And then, like, I think Joe alluded to that one with Aronson where he just didn't seem to get his foot on it. Aronson had a chance in second half, didn't he, where he was just in front of front post. I thought Aronson were good again today, to be fair. He looks really sharp and stuff. It looks like he wants to create. If we'd assigned him as a number 10 as the creator, I think people would be more on board with saying that he can create. But because nobody likes Aronson and we're not allowed to like him, he's not a creative number 10, which I think that is what he is. So whether he can do it in the Prem or whatever is a question for every single player we've got, isn't it? So other than Tanaka, who's obviously the best player in the world because he's played 4 or 5 minutes.
He was good again, though, where he came on, though. The passes, man. He just kept getting the ball.
Touch. It's just, not many of them can do that.
It was good. Chris Kelly says, football is meant to be entertaining. Watching this lot is like pulling teeth. Come on now. He's devoid of ideas. He's like a morgue most of the time because of the football is pants. I disagree on the Ellen Road being... I mean, I'm not there now, but not because of the football, because it was great atmospheres with worse football than what we're seeing now. I just think it's a level of expectancy within the fan base because we have such a good team. We expect us to do more than what we're doing. I mean, I don't think you can win in that respect because it's like, if you're winning, yeah, we're supposed to be winning. If we're behind, oh my God, we're not winning. Do you know what I mean? I think it has maybe messed it up, but I can't really comment because I'm not there. These lads have been more often than me, so maybe they can comment on that. But can we talk about the entertaining side of it, folks? Because in the second half, it was a tough watch. There was times where there's the opportunity to go forward and we don't do it. There's runs made from a Nonto, from a Ramazzani, even there was one at like Bogles in acres of space. And like Paul alluded to, when we do give it, we get a penalty from it. But there is, look, and I guess at 1-0 as well, I'm trying to like also defend the manager in terms of you don't need to risk it, because if you risk it and you lose it, it's like, my God, I don't know where I land on it. It just wasn't a great watch in the second half, if I'm being honest. It wasn't entertaining. I do agree with that sort of stuff. And I know, listen, it doesn't have to be always entertaining. As long as we've got 3 points, we've got a clean sheet, we move on. But it wasn't great watching second half. Has anyone got any thoughts on that?
I think the people that tend to jump on it and say it wasn't entertaining enough or anything like that are the exact same people that are saying we need to sack Daniel Farke and get David Moyes in. You can pick one of these arguments, but you can't put them both together and think, actually, we'll get David Moyes and it'll be really fun, entertaining football. And you've also had a bunch of people saying, like, well, we waited until the 82nd minute to make subs. We didn't need to make them. We were fine. We were comfortable. We were leading. We just won a penalty. Just because you got a little bit itchy and thought, oh, we probably need to do a thing here, doesn't mean that you always have to do a thing. It's okay. Like, I think we're just allergic to like chilling out a little bit in the Leeds fan base. And I think if we just look after ourselves a little bit, make sure that it's okay, we can be chill, we can breathe, then it'll be fine. Yeah, would I have liked to have scored 6 or 7 goals? Sure. But at the same time, I saw someone a little bit earlier saying that Jesse Marsh played more entertaining football than this. We did get relegated and we lost like 5-2, 6-2 repeatedly. Entertainment brings risk. And if you are just saying, well, we need to get out of this league, why do you want us to take the risks when we're already winning? It's a bit silly.
Just to add into that as well with what Joe's saying, you have to look at what's in front of you as well in the way that teams play. We know the way that teams are going to play against us, which is they're going to sit deep. Do we struggle to break that down at times? Yeah, we all know that we do, but
I don't think Cardiff did that today, though. They left so much space for us. They were shit.
Well, yeah, but they did. If on the heat map situation, if you look at the heat map, they didn't go above the halfway line. They just didn't on the heat map in terms of average of spaces. So but
that's due to us not letting them, though.
No, of course, yeah. There is that side of it as well, but that's what teams are going to do to us, which in turn makes the game a little bit boring. And then when you can get frustrated, is you can go, God, I just wish we would just pass it a little bit quicker and a little, that movement. And like I said to you, mate, the number of times that Bogle was on the right hand side in space, just to knock it over to him and just stretch it a little bit. And the decision just seemed to be to turn it and knock it back. And I know I harp on about it a lot with Piroe and Ampadu, but just that additional person in the middle of the field that rather than having to pass it back, you can pass it across and then forward to potentially. It's just working out how teams are going to play against us, and teams that are at the bottom of the table are going to sit deep. There's not a lot you can do about it. And what you will find a lot of the time is we will get a massive amount of possession. It might be a bit boring, but we will get a massive amount of possession, but without the penetration side of it because of how deep teams sit against us.
JT, you've just joined us. Uninspired with the win? What's your thoughts?
Flipping heck, mate. It was flatter than a bottle of Pepsi that you left on the side of your counter for the past 2 weeks. I mean, we had so much passive possession. It's the same thing we always see. Listen, you'd think when you've got 80% of the ball against a 10-man side, you know what? You've actually watched some entertaining football. And especially a lot of the ball was in and around their 18-yard box. But it's just every time we should be going down the middle, we're pinging the ball out wide, where we're switching the channel. Every time there's an option down wide, we're going down the middle. Every time we should take one touch, we take two touches. It just always seems to be slowing it down in the wrong areas. It always seems to be the same issues of just making the wrong decisions at wrong moments. And it was just so flat and boring. Like, yeah, on paper, it looks decent. 4 big chances created. We missed a penalty. We scored a couple of goals. But when you actually watch that match in its entirety and you see how poor Cardiff were, they had 54% pass accuracy. Really?
Yeah, they were bad. They were bad.
And you're telling me that we only won 2-0 and we didn't even start creating things properly until they went down to 10 men. Like, it was just so tragic to watch. And how, when we have this many quality players, you have Ramazzani, who's absolutely lightning quick, but yet is not being utilized correctly. Now, whether that's systemically, whether that's not, I don't know. But why is he not getting enough chances? Why is
I thought he was good today, mate?
I'm not criticizing his performance. Point. I thought he was our best one of our best players. I'm not criticizing him.
I don't get that point though.
My point is the quality of players. I was using him as like he's a extremely high quality players. I kind of stumbled over my words a little bit there. You caught me out. But I'm saying with the quality of Nonto, with Ramazzani, Aronson, who I thought drifted in and out, but I thought his pressing and his work rate was very good. We should have been doing so much more. We really should have been. And it's just, again, they just seem to be a little bit confused as to what they need to do. Like, it's not flowing. It's not like it was under Bielsa where you would just ping it. It's
never going to be though, man.
I know it's not. I'm using an example of we had worse players, but you would just ping it. Even if Harrison or Helder Costa, when he was there, didn't make the run, someone would instinctively ping the ball down to that corner because they expected them to be there. Now it's so hesitant. They have to think so much before they make the pass, and that's why it slows it down, and that's what makes it easy to defend. I get we missed a few chances, but we didn't even create enough big chances, in my opinion. That's the main problem. We're not creating enough.
Jack, do you want to
just throw some out there, Jack? Sorry, just before you drop in, best player on their pitch, or best player on the pitch, or the highest rated player in that game was their goalkeeper. Just throwing that out there.
Fair enough.
Jack, did you want to?
Just comparing, I'm not calling JT out, but comparing anybody's football to Bielsa is going to come up stuck at you to some extent. So it's like it's an unfair comparison against any manager probably in the world. You know, people moan about Pep Guardiola's football, don't they? Saying it's too boring and stuff.
Yeah,
so
they do. I watch it and I'm bored. I watch it and I'm bored genuinely when they're dominating. It's boring. Yeah,
well, being exceptional at things is boring, isn't it? People think Djokovic is boring, don't they, when he's playing tennis because he's just in beast mode relentlessly. So it's one of them. You know, I can't watch him, but I watch Federer, who not won as many Grand Slams. So you do have to pick. I prefer Federer to Djokovic. Don't know why I'm talking about tennis, but you get my point.
That's what Leeds have done to you.
Yeah. Also, we got the player sent off. Let's not pretend that he's gone round and just nutted someone or, gone in with it.
Yeah.
It's our attacking football that's got the player sent off. So I'm reluctant to say we didn't start creating until we got someone sent off. We got someone sent off after 20 minutes. That's not often that happens. So, they were all over at shop with Cardiff. We could probably move it forward a little bit more often. I think
ultimately, and Johnny Brook, my friend, put this in the comment. Farke's pragmatism over expansiveness first, right? He's control. He's making sure that we're not open. I mean, look, I know, like, if you saw this, yeah, like, just to put it, like, if you saw this, you're going, oh my God, they've absolutely peppered them, which we have, but like, look, I mean, look at that. That's like crazy in terms of how much momentum Leeds have had and how much ball they've had, and Cardiff have barely laid a glove. Like, spare a thought being a Cardiff fan watching that shit. Do you know what I mean? They were very similar to us, I felt, in terms of how they play as well. In terms, and that's been a complaint for them. They have a lot of possession of the football, obviously not today, but normally they do, and they just don't create enough. And I think, look, ultimately, we're going to win games of football. Yes, we'd all like gunslinging, like bam, 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 5, 6, 7s, but today they didn't lay a glove on us, and but I'm also agreeing with folks, because I didn't enjoy the second half. Like, I'm not going to lie and sit here and say I did, because I felt at times I was getting frustrated. Piroe getting the ball, I think, fuck, move it, and we don't, and we check and we go there, and then we go back. But then sometimes when that happens, we do end up creating a chance about 10 passes later. So. You know, on another day, Strout scores the pen, Aronson scores, and it's 4. You know, we're sat here and it's 4, and we're not probably complaining as much as we are, but it has still been the same. So I don't know what to think, really. It is difficult to analyse a game in which you've won 2-0 comfortably, by the way. Like, in terms of XG against, we don't concede chances. They're 0.15.
Cardiff being like a difficult place to go as well. I know the
Yeah,
bottom league.
it's true.
It's a long travel. It's hard for players. It's this and that, and then you go and win 2-0. They have one chance, and you go, "We could have scored a penalty. A couple of pretty poorly missed chances. Could have been 5-0 in all seriousness. Wasn't. Ended up being 2-0, and we're moaning."
Yeah, but prior to Farke coming in, it was 0 wins in 6. Then it was 1 win in 7. Now it's 2 wins in 8. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we struggled at places like Millwall. We don't under this manager. We struggled at places like Cardiff. We don't under this manager. So
but
yeah, there has to be
that's
props
hard
for
to
that.
say. Like, as I said before the game, I'm thinking that. But that's why if you just look at the stats alone and you look at the key moments alone, fair enough. Your point makes sense. But when you've actually watched the game and you've actually seen how, but no, it's not just how poor. Like, you're saying, they barely laid a glove on us. They couldn't lay a glove on a boxing bag, mate. Like, they literally they were that bad. The point is they still came forward. 85th minute, they have a throw on, an opportunity to launch it into the box, and you sat there actually sitting down for a second, like, oh shit, they might nab an equalizer here. That should never have even been a fear. That should never even been something that crosses your mind in a game like that. Because when you come up against a side that can actually punish you on the break, that aren't as weak going forward as Cardiff, then you are going to find yourself in trouble. Listen, I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not saying sack him instantly, get rid. I'm saying you do have to look at the fact that there are, unfortunately, things that are repeating themselves week after week after week. And when you play better opposition, you're going to get stung. Because we saw last year, we papered over the cracks a lot at times last season. We went on a good run. But when it came to the crunch point, when it came to the back end of the season, when it came to the last few games where we really needed to pull something out, a lot of those issues that we've been speaking about from game week 1 to game week 38 ended up costing us. Game week 46 ended up costing us at the end. And that's my fear.
Can I just, like, obviously come to a counterpoint? Are West Brom a top side in this division? Are they all right there? I
guess, yeah.
Right.
In terms of the I'll put them top 6, yeah.
Okay. Are Hull City?
No.
I would disagree. Are Burnley?
Yes.
Okay, so
but
all three of
very poor form.
But all three of them opponents, we've lost one, and we absolutely battered Burnley, if we're being totally honest. So I don't subscribe to this notion, because people were saying it in my chat as well. And I'm not just like, against better teams we get found out. Well, no, against better teams we would. It's still the same. Like, I see the performance still being exactly the same.
Listen, as I said,
what's
your overall point here?
So my overall point is that by saying that we play like that against other opposition, we'll get found out. I just disagree.
But we did, because you said yourself, like, we dominated the possession. Well, okay, we dominated the possession against Burnley. We dominated the possession against Burnley. You said we battered them, yeah? They caught us on one counter-attack and they beat us.
One.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not getting found out, is it?
Yeah, it's getting found out.
Can I bring up a very quick point?
That's exactly what getting found out is.
No,
JT said something along the lines of things repeating themselves, and we don't want to let things repeat themselves. Today, something didn't repeat itself. We played a side that is at the bottom of the league whilst we are in the Championship against a team that goes down to 10 men, and we take a lead very shortly afterwards. In 2019, we lose 2-1 to Wigan because we play that expansive stuff and we get stung on a counter-attack.
No, I'm talking about
today
things repeating themselves over the past 2 years.
That's
repeating themselves since 2019. That's a different manager. That's a different time. And that was when we got an injury. We got an injury to Kemar Roof, who was carrying our front line that season. So there's a lot of your point is that's a different point.
No, it isn't, because it's a point about style. It's a stylistic.
Stop bringing up Bielsa. Then Bielsa, we're never going to replace Bielsa. We're never going to have that again. That was a special moment in time, 100%, and we're never ever going to repeat that in terms of a manager that just came in and basically took the club into his bosom and ran with us. We are never ever getting that again.
And people still wanted rid of him.
Exactly.
That was criminal, though. That's criminal.
So let's not forget about that. I watched them games as well.
My point being is we can't keep living in the past. If we keep living in, I mean, how far back do you take it? Do you take it to
exactly?
JT, with the greatest of respect, do you remember the George Graham era? How turgid that was? Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't old enough. No.
But that's my point. It's how far back do we take it to try and make the point that you want to make? If you do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, look, there's people, and I see it in the comments, people going, this person's bang on, because it fits in with what they feel and what they want. Are we happy with the performance? No. We can all be honest and say, no, we're not happy with the performance. Did we get the 3 points? Yes.
Jack loves it.
It's a long season. It's a long season. You've just got to win loads of games, boys.
Yeah.
We didn't kick off, and Joe, let JB come back in again because I did interrupt him slightly. Sorry, pal. We didn't kick off properly until sort of just after the Christmas period, realistically speaking. Yeah. We didn't reach our peak until then. And unfortunately, what we have in our fan base is a lot of fans that have been incredibly spoiled by Bielsa, massively spoiled by Bielsa. And it's not a bad thing because we all witnessed it and it was a lovely time. It was fantastic. But we can't keep going Bielsa. It's a bit like, and I don't like mentioning it, the Manchester United scenario. As soon as Alex Ferguson goes, that team just falls to shit. Mm-hmm. And they're never going to get anything as good again as what Alex Ferguson was. That's my point. We can't.
But I mean, I don't know if you're trying to say, like, I wasn't even bringing. I brought up one point with Bielsa, and that was the pattern recognition of like playing the balls when someone wasn't there. I'm not even comparing us to that. I'm comparing us to Fark last season. When I talk patterns and things repeating, I'm talking about under Fark.
I'm not even talking about Bielsa. Just in terms of the greater point overall is what you will see on social media, or what you will see a lot of people saying is. I miss Bielsa. I miss this. I miss that. This isn't like the Bielsa. It's not going to be. It just isn't going to be. People manage different times.
No, you're right. You're right.
Can I just say as well, right? And again, let me get some super chats, and then I just want to make get a point and see what people think. Lord Shiogara Shiogorov said, could have stuffed them, should have stuffed them. We need to hammer teams like this to make teams for your players. Let's humiliate someone, please. Sean says, we have the players to murder teams, but we're put on a leash by the German fraud. Sean, whoa. That's not fair, bro, because you're going here with the narrative in the chat. Because in the chat, when on the game, you were saying he had a great performance and you've got to give props to Fark, and now you're changing your tune, bro. That's not cool. Flip-flop. Scott says, thanks, Jack, man. We're such a spoiled fan base. We said Farker had to win. He wins, and we nitpick every aspect. Enjoy it, people, says Scott. And Sonny says, can't complain about 3 points away. And this, I know Sonny's quite critical of Farker at times as well. And this is the point I want to ask folks, right? If we're being honest, if we look at it, we go, have Leeds United blown anyone away yet? Have we been at peak? I would argue not. And that's my opinion. But we're 6th in the table. We have 11 points on the board. This is Farker's best ever start as a championship manager. even when he won the league twice with Norwich, right? So it's so early for us to be casting aspersions over the course of the season when he's actually had his best ever start as a manager in the Championship this season. And he won the league twice and got finished on 90 points last season. So this is his best start. We're sat in 6th on 11 points. We're 5 points behind a West Brom side that, for me, are playing at full tilt. They're playing at the top end of their thing. They've got Josh Madger scoring goals. Sunderland, new, young, exciting team. Again, probably playing at full tilt. Burnley yet to get going. So, Sheffield United, very critical. My point is, we've barely even got going. We're being so critical, and I myself didn't enjoy that second half. But there is a case of going, hold up, wait a minute, because it's true though. It's true because we've lost once, and we've got 11 points on the board with a +5 goal difference. Bearing in mind we conceded fucking 3 on the opening day, so I do think maybe we are probably doing a bit too much. We are probably spoiled, and we're nitpicking and all these things because in actual fact, it's all right.
Listen, on the surface, listen, as I said, on the surface of things, I don't disagree too much because it is early doors and it's a small sample size of this season. As I said, the only things I've ever brought up for my comparison is things that happened last season because there was a whole sample size of him being our manager last year. That's the only point I disagree. Otherwise, a lot of what you said, I actually do tend to agree with, that it is early doors. If you look at things in the grand scheme of things, yes, there's a long way to go in the season, as Jack said, and there is time for us to improve and pick things up. But I would still like to see him be more proactive in his changes. I would like to see him make some changes before the 86th minute, give some players a run out, especially in a game where you're controlling a lot of the ball and it's a good chance to put some of these other players in, see how they would work against the side that are sat back against you, and see if there are a few things you can tweak.
We started
and maybe
Ramazani
find
today.
a few answers. He started him because he was forced to, because Solomon
Yeah, but
was
he
injured.
still started him.
Yes,
didn't
but
he?
that's not
He
what
could
I
have gone with
said.
Piroe.
Yeah, but I said,
do you remember last night we spoke about we thought you were going to go Piroe. You thought that, right? You thought that. You said it. You said
I
it.
did. No.
Okay, and he didn't do that.
Someone came in and said
And
it,
you
and
agreed.
I said, oh, you might. I could see him doing it. That
Right,
wasn't
and
my
he
point.
didn't.
I said I'd like to. Yeah, but that's completely different. I said I'd like to see him more proactive with the changes in the game.
Bro.
No, it's not. He put him in over Solomon, who is injured. Like, my point is, I'd like to see him more proactive with changes in the game. And you're saying he started someone. I'm not disagreeing. I'm happy he started Ramazani, and I thought
I
Ramazani
agree with
was
you on
great.
that. Yeah.
So I'm saying I would like, in a game where you're controlling it, it's a good opportunity to bring some of these more creative players in, because they're not going to be, it's not going to be a game where it's going to be cagey and it's going to be hard for them to express themselves. It's a game where they're going to have opportunities to attack and try and break down a low block. So
That's fair.
I would like to see that. But otherwise, you are right. It is early in the season. But
one thing to point out. Sorry, mate. One thing to point out. Oh, everybody's on it today. One thing to point out is, for me, we've talked about in terms of Farke's best start, and I think what he is very concerned about for maybe the first third of the season is trying to maintain this type of start and to try and get the scores on the board. So it's turgid, yes, it's boring, yes, it's a little bit how we felt this afternoon. However, it's a results business, isn't it? That's where we're at. That's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to win games and get points on the board. Where hopefully, once the season progresses a little bit more, where we can start to be more expansive and start to be more on it. I mean, Tanaka, yes, I would love him to start Tanaka, but we don't know what goes on in training. We don't know what happens in terms of other bits and pieces. We don't know how ready he is, how settled into the team he is yet, how settled he is with everybody else. Although I will say, when he came on, he was shouting at people for the ball. He was telling people to pass to him or where to pass, all of that type of stuff. So I like what I see with Tanaka.
But maybe he can only that. That's the thing. He's coaxing him in like he did with Gruev. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think so to a certain degree. I think that's what's happening. So. But I'd love him to start him, but I think that's what's happening. And I think what he's doing is that, or the way that I would see it, is that marathon situation in terms of the league and it being 48 games, that we are breaking it in, the engine, and revving it up slowly to get ready for that, the motorway speed, once for a better phrase, round about Christmas time.
Yeah.
So, that's how I can see it potentially.
Just some couple of super chats. Oh, Joe, did you want to say something? Joe B, did you want to say something quickly?
I've been doing a little bit of like a Google on the side, and I've just had a quick look. And because we were so bad at creating chances, I figured I'd look at just how many chances we created today. We created a good 2.5 XG in that match. In the last 5 matches combined since the Portsmouth match, we have conceded 2.5 XG. We created more today than we've conceded in terms of chances over the last 5 matches, and apparently we're shit and need the manager out.
Okay. 0.79 of that XG was a penalty, so that needs to be put into consideration as well.
Create the penalty, JT.
So that's a 1 point.
Create the penalty.
But your stats can be. I'm sort of saying.
Yeah, but then also, JT, because when it comes to later on down here, and Piroe's got 10 goals off at bench, you're going to say,
I know. Hang on a second. I actually
said that goal was pointless.
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't pointless.
You said that last year, dude. You said a lot of his goals were pointless. And there's no such thing. You said we were 2-0 up and then he got the goal or whatever, right? Just a penalty. You did, dude.
I didn't say pointless. Pointless is not. I did say that they weren't winning goals. I didn't say pointless.
You didn't say they weren't winning goals. Why would you say they weren't winning goals?
Because that's what I mean. As in, they weren't goals that changed the course of the game.
Not important goals.
It
wasn't important goals.
Yes, not important.
He only scores unimportant goals, does Piroe.
No, but I actually think he has a good role to play on Piroe. You bring him up. Nice. I think off the bench, it actually kind of works because his pressing ability isn't great. Yeah, we all know that. But because he's coming on in the 75th minute, he actually has so much more fitness. He's so much fresher than everyone else on the pitch.
Should we not be making the sub earlier?
I would make the subs earlier, but I wouldn't bring him on early. I'd maybe leave him to this point because he's so much fresher than everyone else that when he does come on the pitch,
so you do what Farke did in that scenario.
Listen, I think it was a good move in the 80th minute to bring him on. That I will say. Listen, just because I'm critical of other things doesn't mean I can't praise him when I'm right. I don't really get what your points are. You're trying to get at here. But as I said, when he comes on in the 80th minute, when Piroe comes on in the 80th minute or so, and he's that much fresher than anyone else, you actually see that he can move around a lot freer and he can use all of his energy, and that kind of makes up for his slightly more cumbersome nature. And when teams do start to open up in the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, which does happen when they're sat that defensively for a game, they're going to get mental fatigue and they're going to start to open up a few gaps. And the one player you do probably want on the end of some of those chances is Piroe. And it has worked out the past couple of times. He's come off the bench last 10, 15 minutes and he scored a couple of goals. And I think he could play a good role for Leeds in that position. Would I want to start him in the 10? No, I still think that there's big question marks there. But I never said you did, mate. I'm not saying you did. I'm just talking about my opinion. But I'm saying in this position where he's coming on, I think it works.
Cool. Let me get some super chats in. Chris Kelly said, we hit our peak in April, then shit the bed in April due to negative tactics and a fear of playing front foot football. Williams says, give it some time for the players to play together, another 2-3 weeks, and we'll be a different team for the better. Kenneth says, last season we did have goals from the bench. Piroe has 2 from the bench. I think you meant we didn't, but yeah, you're right. And in January, would you rather get a 10 or a 9? A 10. I don't know, actually. I don't know. We'll assess that in January, I think. I don't know if this is a good or a bad point, this one I'm about to make. So I want you to tell me, right? Jesus. So Joe Donahue has just tweeted out this. He says, to illustrate how pedestrian that game was today, 11 Leeds United players, including 2 second-half stoppage time subs, completed more passes than the Bluebirds' most frequent passer, Will Fish. So 5 Leeds players with greater than 90% pass completion. We won't have an easier fixture all year. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is that like, I guess we have that much success rate and have that much of the ball because we are a bit more pragmatic and like to control football games as opposed to being so gung-ho and giving Cardiff more opportunity. I mean, Cardiff have come off that today and probably gone, fucking hell, man, we've barely touched the ball. That was rough. But we're looking at it from, it's only 2. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, that to me just, it reads just complete domination, really. And what more can we do? What more can we ask of the team than to dominate the opponent?
Well, I'm sorry, Joe. I'm just thinking, how's that bad? How's that a bad thing? 207 passes to 778 passes. I don't understand how that's a bad thing. That's my point. I don't understand what the point that Joe Donahue's trying to make there. That makes no sense.
No, I don't know if he's saying it's a bad or a good thing. That's why I just thought I'd put it out there because Yeah.
A boxer can win a match by winning comfortably, very comfortably, and not turning someone's face into jam. Like, it's fine. We didn't need to do. I don't understand. It was good. It was fine. We won. We were very, very comfy in winning. It's okay.
It's nice to think we've got a few gears to go through as well.
Yeah.
I'm quite enjoying the fact that we will go on a run where we're actually in fine form. We are not by any means flying.
No.
And we're winning games pretty comfortably. So Burnley are a decent side. They did us.
Yeah.
And we didn't look any different. One football, sort of suggested I don't watch the game. I just look at the stats, which is the last thing I do. I just watch the game. I don't look at any stats. But one thing that I would know is losing a game against Burnley would, at the start of the season, you would just say that is potentially a game that you're going to slip up on. The Portsmouth game's a wild game. You can have more wild games if you wish. That is an option. We can play that way, where we was wide open. I think I was sceptical at whether we'd shored up at the back. I think the more we go on this sort of like run, I don't think it is turgid to watch. I think it's championship football. I don't know how good championship football is, because I know when we're not in it, I don't watch none of it. So it's not like it's the most mind-blowing football. It's just, I cannot wait to watch Sheffield United versus Derby later. Like, get them highlights on, like that 1-0 stinker where you got to watch Wilder. Like, no, man. Like, as soon as we're at Championship next year, I'll watch us in Premier League, and I'll watch every single Premier League game. I love it. Yeah. This is not a decent standard. It's horrible.
Just to point out as well,
sorry, but I just got to say it's a tremendous standard. I did not mean it's not a decent standard. It's an excellent standard, and if any of us were anywhere near this good at football, you'd be an absolute baller. But in the grand scheme of things,
my visual radio switched to Cardiff in the second half, and the commentators for the Cardiff side of the visual radio were actually waxing lyrical about how good Ampadu is and how much of a Rolls-Royce player he is, and that he hadn't put a foot wrong the entire game and that he was all over the place. So it's just the context of how we see stuff sometimes, and I think that can really influence the way that we view or see something.
We just want to go out and beat teams 4, 5, 6 and look amazing doing it, don't we? And
nobody
again,
does. Nobody does do that.
Yeah.
Unless you're Haaland.
I've got a fun little note on the Cardiff commentary as well, because I took some notes. It's great. On the 60th minute, I noted that their commentator said, we've largely prevented their fullbacks from getting high and wide. 5 minutes later, Bogle tackled in the penalty box, wins a penalty. Good job, lads. Really stopped him.
Laughing at Ramazani for falling over when we went to do the kick to cross the ball in, and then literally a second later, like 2 minutes later, he scores a goal. So that was quite funny as well.
Listen, I don't know if there's any more we can pick the bones out of. It's mad to think we've gone away and won 2-0, and I do just feel a bit meh, but that's okay. We won, right? We'll pick the bones out of it over the next few days. I do think there's some real critics still, and we've won a game of football. I don't know how to feel about that, really, to be honest. We should be rejoicing, but hey-ho, it is what it is. We've got Coventry at home next week, and that will be a really, really tough test. I think they got beat today, but they will play with that low block and will be hard to break down. So we'll get a proper look at them. But Cardiff were poor. We won. Wasn't amazing, but we won, and that's all that matters. We got 3 points. We're 6th in the league, and we've barely even started yet. So wait till this team starts to get going and hits the heights, and no doubt wins the league as predicted at the start of the season. It's there for the taking. So yeah. Anyone got any final thoughts before we exit?
Yes. Has anybody seen the film White Men Can't Jump?
Mm-hmm.
There's a famous line in White Men Can't Jump that I think people need to heed. You'd rather look good and lose than look bad and win. Just a little saying that went on within that, and that sticks out with a lot of what I think our fan base are wanting sometimes. Sometimes you have to look bad and win.
Yeah.
You just have to take it in.
Well, they say if you can win your games and look poor, and still knock them out of the park, then happy days.
Do you think we looked bad though? I think this is the issue I have.
No, we didn't look bad. But what I'm saying is people would you get the sense with, and this isn't being directed at you, JT. You get the sense with some of our fan base that they'd rather us be able to. Oh, well, we played really well. You know, we can do well in the next game, but rather than it being, oh, we played slightly bad and we came away with the points. And I don't think we played slightly bad. Could we have been a bit quicker? Yeah. But we won the game of football. We dominated everything. So, you know, for me, that's where I am. I'm happy with everything overall. It's just, I just think some of our fan base are like that. Fortunately.
Yeah. No, we dominant, weren't we? We fucking dominated them. That's the thing. We absolutely dominated them. We just didn't win 5, 6, 7, 8-0. But hey ho, it is what it is. We're gonna be fine. Right, folks. Yeah. See yous in a bit. Peace out, man.